Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Welcome everybody. This is Nurul Aziz once again. Welcome you from Chattogram Online School. I am an assistant teacher English, Krishna Kumari City Corporation Girls High School. Dear students, you all know we are discussing lessons from Unit 6. That is the selfish giant. In my last class, I discussed part 1 of this unit of this lesson, and now I'm going to discuss part 3 of this story. So hope you will enjoy and you are ready with your necessary articles and English for today books. So dear students, let's start our today's class. I've given my identity, and now you will see a picture. You see, what do you see in the picture? The giant is driving the kids away from his garden. Is very angry with them. So thus the children are fleeing from this garden. So you can easily understand this is a part of the story. This is an event of the story. The giant is very angry. So this kind of things happen here. So let's move forward. You see the selfish giant 3, unit 6, lesson 10. Please go to page 65. We have specific learning outcomes from this lesson. These are: apply new vocabulary. You will be able to apply new vocabulary, read and understand the text here, match words with their meanings. There is a matching activity, and ask and answer questions. You'll be able to ask and answer questions. If you understand the text properly, you can answer any type of questions from this reading passage. So let's hope for the best. First of all, as usual, we will learn some vocabulary. My dear students, I'm gonna hide my picture so that you can see these lessons easily. The first one is, you see a flower, we get scent, fragrance, and what else do we get from flowers? So you can you guess the vocabulary? I have written here meanings, meaning and synonym. So today's first vocabulary is perfume. This is noun. Perfume, perfume. This is a noun. That means fragrance, and synonym is scent. So you can write, flowers spread perfume to make us happy. Next one is, you see an woman blind. She has lost her eyesight. So today's next vocabulary is about this, that is sight. Sight has different meanings. This is also a noun. That means power of seeing a thing. Synonym is visibility or vision. But if you think about an alternative meaning of this word, that is sight, it means scenery, a beautiful scenery, a scene that you see is also called sight. So if we write, the woman lost her eyesight. Next one is, you see a picture where you see two birds talking or singing. They are chirping, and a series of short high-pitched calls or sounds. What do we call them? call them tweeter. Tweeter means a series of short, high-pitched calls or sounds. This is a noun and that has a synonym chirping. And you can write down the little birds were twittering delightfully in the garden. So we have learned three vocabularies from this text, and now you have the reading text in section B. This is continuing reading from the story. And one morning the giant was lying awake in bed when he heard some lovely music. It was so sweet to his ears that he thought it must be the king's musicians passing by. He thought that king's king's musicians were passing by his garden. It was so sweet. But in fact, it was only a little bird singing outside his window. This was not king's musicians singing. It was a little bird which was singing. Then the north wind stopped. North wind stopped and delicious perfume came to him through the open window. I believe the spring has come at last, said the giant. He jumped out of bed and looked out. What did he see? What did he see? He saw the most wonderful sight. Through a little hole in the wall, the children crept in and they were sitting in the branches of the trees. In every tree there was a little child, and the trees were so delighted to have the children back again. You know, the giant drove the children away from his garden, and everything looked so dim and dull to the giant. But the children, when came back again, everything became so delighted that they covered themselves with blossoms. They were waving their arms gently above the children's heads. The birds were flying about and twittering delightfully. They were very happy. They were very happy and they were twittering delightfully. The flowers were looking up through the green grass and laughing. But only in one corner of the garden it was still winter. There is a problem. There was still winter in one corner of the garden. There, under a tree, a little boy was standing alone and crying. He was so small that he could not reach up to the branches of the tree. The poor tree. Look, the poor tree was still covered with snow, and the north wind was blowing above it. Trees can be poor. Is it right to you? Trees also can be poor. Yes, trees can be poor because if the trees don't have leaves, beautiful flowers, and the spring doesn't come to the tree, then it doesn't look beautiful. So this becomes poor. In that sense, the poor tree was still covered with snow. So we have finished reading the text. I think you are going with me. Now, my dear students, we will discuss some of the sections that is section B and C. You will have some questions here. Please open at page 66 where you see there is a matching in section B. You have to match the words with their meanings. The first one is awake. The second one is perfume. The third one is sight. And fourth one is Twitter. As we have discussed these words and you all know the meanings, so I hope you can match these words. The first one is awake. You know what is awake? Getting up from bed. So we can match. And what are the meanings here? The meanings given in the left column, right column, you see sweet smell, singing in a delightful voice, not sleeping, things or objects that you see. So one is awake. Word one is awake. Awake means you can easily guess, not sleeping. If you do not sleep, then you are awake. I think you understand. If you do not sleep, then you are awake, not sleeping. Perfume. What does it mean? It means a sweet smell. We get sweet smell from flowers. Okay, the next one is sight. We have discussed this. Sight means things or objects that you see. That means any scenery, any scene that you see. The next one is Twitter. That means what? Sing in a delightful voice. If you sing in a delightful voice, it is called Twitter. So I hope you have understood this matching and you are writing down those answers matching these. Now we will discuss C. Section C, where you have 3 questions for you. The first one is, why was the little bird singing outside the window of the giant's castle? Can you guess why? Why little birds singing outside the window of the giant's castle? You can write down the answers if you like. You see, the little birds were singing outside the window of the giant's castle because they were very happy to see the children coming back in the garden, and everything was going as usual. Everything seemed to them very normal. That is why the birds were singing. They saw the children coming back in the garden. So, question number C. Question number 2. What happened to the garden when the spring came at last? You know, spring, if spring comes, the flowers blossom and everything looks beautiful. What happened to the garden? When spring came into the garden at last, everything looked beautiful because the trees became happy, birds were twittering, flowers were laughing happily. So everything looked very beautiful. And question number 3, you see, why did one corner of the garden still have winter? What happened there? In one corner of the garden, there was not spring. Why there was still have winter? What happened there? Can you guess? Because there was a problem. What was the problem? One corner of the garden still had winter because there under a tree a little boy was standing alone crying. He was standing alone and crying because he was too small to reach the branches of the tree. He couldn't climb up the tree. The poor tree was still covered with snow and north wind was blowing. North wind was blowing. The poor tree. You see the phrase, the poor tree was still covered with snow. So there had still winter. So my dear students, hope you have understood the lesson and you will try everything at home. So let's have a little evaluation for you. I'm giving you some moments to think about this. You see, I have written here, the poor tree was still covered with snow. Snow, how can a tree be poor? My question is, how can a tree be poor? Trees can be poor? Yes, I think you have a right answer like this. Beautiful flowers and green leaves make a tree look beautiful in the spring. But if it is covered with snow and there is no sign of spring in it, the tree seems to be poor. That's why it is called a poor tree. I hope you have enjoyed this class. Now you have to write down two questions to write the answers at home. This is your homework. The first one is, who are waving their hands gently above the children? I'm reading it again. Write down the questions. Who are waving their hands gently above the children? Question number 2, what did the giant see jumping out of bed? He was sleeping. He jumped out of the bed and looked through the window. You have to write, what did he see jumping out of bed? So for writing these questions, you have to think about the answers and the text. You have to read the text again so you can write down all those questions. So please try this writing and hope you all the best. Thank you very much for today. See you on next Friday, or probably in the next time we will have another lessons from your English for Today book. Please share this class as many as possible so that other students also can be benefited from this lesson. Wish you all the best. Thank you very much.